Hi, I'm Darken Fungi Art. My age is 24. I am a amateur artist. I am here to tell you more about Darken Fungi Art. I consider my artwork to be inspirational, heartfelt, and cute. Both my parents got me into art with their own art, in a way. And I decided I wanted to become an artist because it makes me feel good and it's a way that I can spread love and peace around the world. When people look at my art, I want them to see peace and I want them to see beauty in things that they may not have thought of before. Like, I have fungi in my name and those things are magical. My first ever piece that I remember really enjoying art for was my freshman year of high school, about a couple years ago. The prompt was monster, and I did a little dark angel kind of red and green leafy leaf wings with a monster in an alley behind a bar. And that was my first ever real piece. My absolute favorite piece, I don't know if I could ever do it again, but it was also kind of in high school. And I took a picture of a leaf. I won't get into the fancy name of it, but it was a red leaf and it was shaped like a heart. And I took a picture of this with this really nice camera. And I drew it, and it looked almost like one of those photos that you see with the quotes of relationships, because it was kind of also a rainy day. I think, yeah, that's still my favorite piece. Yes, I've done an acrylic background paint with a ink drawing. I've done scratchboard with ink. Sometimes I'll do graphite with colored pencil. I've done graphite with ink. I mean, not ink, digital art, where I scan it in and then I digitally color it. I've done that with ink as well. And I've also done ink with markers, if you consider those two different things. I just like to be able to do multiple mediums with one drawing. This is absolutely my favorite question. How I got into mushrooms or fungi or fungus is my dad and my cousin, who I'm really close with, were really into mushrooms, and so of course that sparked my interest in mushrooms. And then the more that I found out about the different species, different kingdoms, different classifications of them, even the things that they could do, like there's one fungus that could take over its host, and that's how it does its thing. Or another one can break down a tree or help trees talk, or just so many different kinds of things that these little things that are technically fruit, because the actual fungus is underneath the ground, can do. And it's just amazing. There's also like some really creepy looking ones. Like my absolute favorite one is called a bleeding tooth, which legitimately looks like a molar with like a bunch of like red jelly dots all over it. That was like first time I seen that. Boom. I do mushroom hunt, but I do not pick them. I take pictures of them so that I can draw them later, because they are just fascinating things. There's over 1 million different types, and they're yin and yang. I don't actually plan on going into any cartoon art type styles. Ideally, it would be cool to either sell my own art or to become an environmental artist, which means that I do the backgrounds for games. Grunge to me is actually a compliment. I like kind of gory, dark art, kind of a cute meets deadly, and it's kind of the kind of attitude that I have. I know I don't look very grungy right now, but I do normally like to have colored hair. New job. If my life was a book, what would it be titled? I feel like Darken Fungi is kind of my story, because when I talk about dark in my name, I don't mean something gross or disturbing per se. I used to be a very colorful and wonderful and cheery person, and life threw some really difficult times with no breaks. Some really bad things happened, and it kind of turned that happy person into someone that I wouldn't say isn't happy. I'm happy, but I don't always see the world in rainbows, which I hope through my art I can help other people see those rainbows even in the darkness. Because even in the darkness, fungi lights up. So even in the dark, there is light. So that's the best way I can describe my life story, being difficult with some stupid challenges. I chose Darken Fungi because through some really difficult times, I found inspiration in fungus because they are the yin-yang of this world, and there's something to look forward to and look for, and there's always new kinds, and there's always new discoveries, and they're so, like, there's some freaky ones. But the main reason is I feel like a fungus in the dark. And by that, I mean there's some things in my past that I don't like looking back on and that have completely changed me. But to stop and think about it, fungus in the dark lights up. So even if you're in the darkness, even if you're in this dark time that we're in, and I don't mean just COVID, there's light at the end. That you can have darkness and you can have peace. My darkest times come from the fact that about 8 years ago, I moved in with a gentleman, and he was verbally and emotionally abusive. I ignored this because we weren't actually in a relationship. Fast forward to about 4 years ago, we moved down to Oregon, which is about 4-hour drive from where I grew up in Washington, and about a 3-hour drive from where I live now. And long story short, he got a girlfriend. She'd told him to be more aggressive. He tried to flip me over a 3-story balcony. I move in with this girl who loses her job, sees my mom have an episode, and instead of just telling me to go away, she used my 2 biggest fears against me. She used him, my abusive ex-roommate, and my mom, who is not abusive, but struggled with depression, and tried to commit suicide, and so I called the cops on her. From there, I started living with a recovering drug addict. His past came up and literally showed up on his doorstep. So that was about 3 to 6 months of me fearing for my life just in that apartment, to finding out that my 17-year-old cat that I had a cat that I had for 17 years, my best friend, died while I was in Oregon away. And because of all of this, when I moved back, I tried to ignore all of this pain and suffering that I had been through for that whole year, my whole life kind of thing, and just ignored it, tried to laugh it off, and became severely depressed to the point where I tried to kill myself a couple of times in the last couple of years. I do have my support now, and I am in therapy, and we are working through it all. Thank you. I didn't do any art that whole year. Maybe not even a few of the years beforehand. I do believe that it has helped me heal, though, from the last 3 years that I've been working on it. Maybe the last year, for sure. What I would say to someone that's struggling is that you have people that love you and care about you, even if they don't exactly act that way. And to be truthful to you and those around you. Be yourself, not someone else. I mean, I tried to hide this pain that I was dealing with for way too long, and if I had said anything, well, maybe people would have believed me a little bit better when I came back. To just, even if it's one person, find that one person that makes you feel better about yourself. I mean, that's what I have. I have my boyfriend, and though our first year together was him being diagnosed with autism and knowing that we may never be able to be married and that our future is going to be way different than a normal person's, I honestly am still sort of I am still severely struggling from what happened, but just stay strong, and I'm always here to talk if anybody needs it, because I am such a supporter of any of this, and it's not your fault. If you're interested in checking out any of my art, I do have an Instagram, a Twitter, a Facebook page, a DeviantArt, really any, an ArtStation. Any artwork that you want to see. I don't always sell all of my artwork. I also do thumbnails for my boyfriend, but I post those on his account. If you want any merch, and I mean like anything, like a t-shirt, a mask, a hat, a pillowcase, a blanket, anything, both of them. I have two separate stores. I have Redbubble, and I have Fine Art America. All of these names are in my Linktrees. If you go to any of my social medias, which is under Darken Fungi, like DARKEN FUNGI underscore, or whatever the line that's on the bottom, at art, ART. Thank you, and this was a pleasure